Hey everyone! In this video, I will show you how to create a fully working weather widget app built directly in Webflow that calls an external API and retrieves the weather information for a given city. I have already made the interface in Webflow, which is the easy part. As you can see right now, there's only the HTML and CSS. What we need to do next is to implement the JavaScript, and for that, we will be using FlowScript, a Webflow plugin that significantly simplifies building reactive web apps directly in Webflow. Let's start by opening FlowScript. The first step is to set up our state variables. We will have two variables, one called weather message that will hold loading and error messages, and another one called weather that will hold the information the API returns. We will set it to have the value of false, which means that no data has been loaded yet. We will then enable the conditional rendering option for both the message element and the weather result element. The message element should be displayed when the weather variable is set to false, while the result element should be displayed when it's true. In this case, true simply means that the variable is set. Then, we will add a submit action on the form like this. We will call the event.preventDefault method to cancel the default behavior of the form. Now let's add an input action to the text field that will handle the input from the users. To retrieve the weather information, we will be calling an external API called OpenWeatherMap. The information on how to use it is available on their website. A request to the API for a given city gives us a result like this one. We can copy the example URL and use it in our code like this. We will call the external API using the fetch function. We simply need to replace the search parameter with the user input, in this case, the city name. We can escape the input using the encode URI component function. We can read the response as a JSON object just like this. If the result is successful, we can store it in the weather state variable. Otherwise, we store the error message in the weather message state variable. You can notice that the COD parameter corresponds to the status code of the API response. If, for example, the city name isn't found, it will return a 404 error. A successful response has the code 200. Right now, our action runs with each keystroke, causing many unnecessary API requests. To optimize, we can implement debouncing to delay the action until typing stops, reducing these requests. For that, we wrap our code in the setTimeout function and assign it to a variable. We then use clearTimeout on that variable before setting a new timeout. This ensures that the action only executes after the user has stopped typing for a specified delay, effectively minimizing unnecessary API calls. We also need to reset the weather state variable and mark the weather message as loading. Finally, make sure to make the function async because we are using the await keyword here. Perfect, we are almost done. We now just need to link the different elements with their corresponding variables. For the weather message, we link its text content to the weather message variable. For the temperature, we can refer to the API's result object and link it to the weather.main.temp variable. We also use the round filter to ensure that the number is rounded to the nearest value. We do the same for the description. we link it to the weather.weather.0.main variable. The 0 here means that we take the first element of the array. And finally, we need to link the icon to the right URL. We link the image URL to the formatted URL like this. And that is it. We can publish the project and test it out. When we type a city name in our text field, the weather information is fetched and the elements are automatically rendered. That is it for this tutorial. We have explored how to leverage FlowScript to swiftly and effortlessly create a weather app that calls an external API with minimal JavaScript code. Stay tuned for more demos and tutorials.